So you caught the end of Loki, correct?
I did. I did.
Okay. Now, do you think now that there is a multiverse where Journey into Imagination still exists, the original?
I certainly hope so.
I do too. I do. That was my first thought.
Oh, okay.
So, um, but yeah, I'm very happy with how everything turned out. I was surprised, and I don't know
Mm.
if we're allowed to talk spoilers on here yet. Um,
It's been at least
but
a week at this point. It will be
a full
exactly a
week,
week. Yeah.
exactly a week.
So I think I'm
Yeah.
probably fine.
So I like how when WandaVision came out, we all were thinking it was going to be Mephisto at the end as the big
Oh,
bad,
sure.
and they
Yeah.
kind of conditioned us to not expect the big characters, and then
Hmm.
we got He Who Remains at the end, and it was who because we're at that point we're all like, no way, there's no way that character's going to show up.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah,
But
because
then
because he's basically Kang.
yeah,
Yeah, which is what a lot of people were thinking.
so the real breakdown was there is a version of Kang in the comics called Immortus, and
Hmm.
his like sole mission is stopping like the real like Kang, the evil Kang, the Kang that we're all like supposed to be scared of right
Oh,
now.
sure, sure.
And there's another character called He Who Remains who forms the TVA. So they kind of
Hmm.
melded Immortus and He Who Remains into one.
Yeah,
Um, so that was pretty clever, and because there's no other time you would be able to use that name, and Immortus is sort of a
sure.
you know eh, bad name, I guess, in the long sense of you
Yeah.
know
Well,
MCU.
yeah, and I was wondering like because like yeah, Immortus and He Who Remains are different in the comics, and so I'm like
Yeah,
still wondering if basically like that character did exist and or that variant did exist, and then like this He Who Remains like destroyed Immortus, or at least was one of the variants that he like suppressed or defeated in the battle in like that
well, I
war.
mean, yeah, I mean, there. I guess the point is now that there would have been an infinite
Hmm.
amount of Kangs.
Kang
A
variants, yeah.
real, I guess there was a real Kangfrontation there.
Oh.
Oh, oh,
Well,
that
on
doesn't
that
want to.
note, on that note,
Mm,
um, um, so this episode is be a little bit different. Well, maybe not really different, but kind of a fun kind of sit down discussion. So, for those of you who have been following us on Instagram and have been following us for a little bit, know that I just got back from a trip to Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. So, we thought that it'd be fun to talk about my experience on my trip, kind of like kind of a trip breakdown, and give you and cause like Mason and I really haven't talked about the trip at all, other than
Wait, you
basically
said you went
like
to Disney World?
I did. Do you not know that?
I thought you went to Blisney World. Here I was expecting you to come back with autographs from Mikey Moose.
Oh, not quite,
Ugh,
not quite.
oh
I, I,
no.
we actually did get autographs. Surprisingly, I know those of you who have been following, there's very little character interaction, but we did end up with some autographs, which was a pleasant surprise.
Huh.
Um, but yeah, so like Mason and I haven't really talked about my trip very much outside of like basic like texting and stuff, our normal texting, and just kind of giving him some insights and photos from my trip, but we wanted to sit down formally and record it all and things like that to give you kind of a breakdown of the whole trip and my experience. Um, I've been kind of thinking about like how to like summarize the trip, and I would say a good summation is like the trip was the magical, the good, and the disappointing. Is a good way to kind of like summarize the trip in itself.
Mm.
Um, but before we start, do you have any like questions for me, or something you're most interested in hearing about from my trip before we kind of Getting some
Um,
notes.
well, this was the first time you got to experience Rise of the Resistance, correct?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, and I'm
yes.
sure you were planning on touching. Well, wait. Before we even go there, kind of the same wheelhouse. How dare you show off that lightsaber behind you? Just so, like, it's just right there.
It's just there.
It's
It's just there.
beautiful.
I'll,
And the
I'll,
thing
I'll
is,
grab it. I'll grab it.
okay,
Oh, yes.
the thing is, and the thing that's very telling is, and just in case you guys don't know, um, before this show, that we only really, we only started talking maybe a week before we started this show. So,
True.
you know,
True.
our listeners, you know us just as probably almost just as well as we know us. So, so I think it's
That's true.
very telling that you would have chosen the same build, or not the exact same build, but the same subset, like the same set, like the
Oh,
natural
the elemental nature.
elemental nature. Yes,
Yes.
you and I would have chosen the same thing because I want that Rancor tooth.
Yes,
That it's
yeah,
the coolest thing to me.
it is. It is very cool. And we'll probably get into it. And we can get to Galaxy's right now. I'd love to talk about Galaxy's Edge right away.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was probably the most not really controversial but contested piece on the whole hilt. I was like, I wanted the Rancor tooth. I really wanted it, but I wasn't
Hmm.
sure like how it would be comfortable to hold and like on the belt because I wore this around all day, and so I
Hmm.
figured like this might like dig into like my side and things like that. So I was like, maybe I
Did
don't
it?
want to. I don't want to carry it, but it's not because the D ring is right here, so it runs parallel to your body, so that won't happen.
Yeah.
Because I actually purchased the um, the saber clip prior to walking into Savi's. So what? So when I was in the saber building experience, when I was actually in the act of building my saber, I actually like, put it on for a second to see how it felt, and I was like, oh okay, I liked it, and it felt comfortable because the other pommel piece
Hmm.
was that more ornate style. Because like really, when you build the saber, the elemental nature set, it has that kind of that more ornate, kind of like almost like elvish looking.
Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah, and so I almost went all that, but I
Hmm.
loved the more natural aesthetic that I chose with like
Hmm.
the I think this is bantha leather. It's supposed to be bantha leather.
Yeah.
This is the tooth of I can't name I can't think of the creature, but it's like almost like a sea creature.
Okay.
This like white here is almost like a whale ivory. Then the rancor tooth.
Wow.
So I really like the way they
That's just
feel.
fantastic.
Yeah, and then I really like this emitter because it's very like prequel era looking, which I
Hmm.
like. And then the ignition switch, I went with a little bit of that, kind of like that elvish looking
Yeah. I definitely
pattern.
think you can flip the just for lack of a better word, you can flip the whale tooth and the bantha leather parts, right?
Correct. Yeah.
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 See, because I've kind of pre-built mine in my mind's eye,
Yeah.
and I definitely think I would put the wrap up top, and then I think I personally I love that, like that, as you said, the elvish sort of one with all the
Uh huh.
scrolling down it.
Yeah.
So I definitely think I'll go into that, but
Yeah.
I forget the other top piece, so I need to check that
Oh
out.
yeah, so that one's a little bit sharper looking. It has like that.
Okay.
Again, it's like that. I need to look at the actual term for it.
Yeah, no,
But yeah,
I'm sure
that
there's like one Star Wars fan going, "No, it's not that."
yeah
But I do, yeah.
yeah yeah. I'm a massive Star Wars fan, but that eludes me. So if anyone in the comments knows the actual like race that's supposed to
That
mimic
is
or
the that is a secret language from Tatooine that
yeah
they used in the old Republic, guys. Get
yeah
your stuff together.
if it
I'm
was
sorry,
like
that was really rude, but really fun to do.
and I know the type of fan that you're mimicking, and but yeah, but yeah, let's go into Galaxy's Edge because I thought Galaxy's Edge was the strongest thing I experienced through my whole trip. It was, and this is coming from someone who's a very big Star Wars fan that's been watching the movie since he was 4 years old. Have always been involved in the fandom, merchandise, things like that. So that land was immensely special to me. And I would argue that it's the most detailed land in all of Walt Disney World. Because they have so many shops, so many places to eat that are so well themed, and then the land itself is so immersive. And then there's also two very well themed rides, and then some great like landmarks, and also in that land that are just breathtaking and immense in size, but also so convincing, I would say. And I'm planning on posting a lot of photos from my trip here over the next few weeks and probably the next month. And my wife has a photo of me just smiling. I couldn't stop smiling when I was walking the land. And I legit had chills the whole time I was walking through. And like I said, we can get into the first thing I did. So my reservation for Savi's was at 8:25 in the morning. The park didn't open until 9. So I was actually able to get in early, and then they took us backstage to get to Savi's. They took us backstage, and then they took us to that main tunnel, the main entrance to Galaxy's Edge, and they walked us through the land prior to the park open.
Wow.
Yeah, while everyone was waiting back by Indiana Jones for rope drop, which was neat. Because I actually walked in and I was very unsure about where to go. Because I knew I had to get back there by 8:25. So I got into the park around 8, or 8:10. So I had to catch the first bus to Hollywood Studios that morning to make it. And there's fortunately plenty of cast members around Galaxy's Edge, at least on the pathway to Galaxy's Edge. Yeah. And one of them was there's Steve who's waiting over here. That's part of the park's experience that will walk you back to where you need to go. And then they took us to the entrance to Galaxy's Edge, where they actually met the Galaxy's Edge cast members and the few that were there for Savi's. And so we, right when the park opened, or it's probably around my reservation was at 8:25. They didn't walk us back till 8:25, and then I didn't start my building until 8:45, I think it was. So I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get in right at 8:25, because I was mentally planning to get into line for Falcon before the park opened, but the way they timed it was you finished your building and then that's when the park opened. Wow. So it didn't give you that much of a head start. Obviously you got a big thing in your day done before anyone else got anything else done in the park, but that was my only real complaint, because I was hoping, but that's just kind of did I need to have early access? No, but I thought I would get that. But it's fine. It's fine. I still get to build my lightsaber. But the lightsaber building experience, if you haven't seen it on YouTube, and really if you're planning on doing it, I would not recommend watching it, because I had seen little bits and pieces, but I'd never watched the full thing, and it was pseudo culty spiritual in a way. I'm a religious person, so it was kind of weird for me as am I doing something against my religion here for a minute, because it was very no, it was very I feel like I was like in like a cult ceremony for a minute, because it was very like feel the force and like like the
I've seen bits and pieces. Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces, and I get it. I'm like, oh, am I committing a sin here? Is this?
yeah,
Are they gonna bring out a drink we all have to take a sip of?
no, and yes, and I commend the cast members that are in there because they're not only just like merchandise cast members, like there's a few of those there, but like most of them are like part of entertainment, or at least have some kind of entertainment background.
Yeah.
At least like the main builder that's there doing the performance, the show. And like I legit like started tearing up because it was just like you felt so involved in the land. So involved in that experience of like you are becoming, or at least building this elegant weapon of the Jedi, and you're part of this movement for change and against the evils of the First Order, and like this is not like something you should take lightly, kind of thing. When building a lightsaber, which I thought was more than I expected, and then it was just there's one part where I legit was like tears, and I won't spoil it, but very emotional and very immersive for sure. Yeah. And then after I built my lightsaber, I went and got breakfast at Ronto Roasters, which was delicious. One of the best things I had on the trip. I had the breakfast wrap along with the Tatooine Sunrise, which was like a Arnold Palmer in a way, which was delicious. And then
that's interesting. And I'm sorry to interject there, but
no, go ahead.
I've been noticing a lot of people, or a lot of instances where recently they've been coming out with Arnold Palmer like drinks, not just there, but even like at fast food places, but they changed the name to something else.
Yeah,
like even Chick-fil-A is like a sunshine
Sunjoy
drink.
Yeah,
Sunjoy. Yeah, like what the heck? Just you know what I'm here for.
Yes. No, exactly. And they added some additional flavors, like I think it was like passion fruit maybe or something like that. It was very delicious. It was like I said, one of the best things I had on the trip. And that's kind of where I ended my Galaxy's Edge experience that morning, because we had to go meet up with my kids and stuff afterwards, to go do some things they wanted to do, and we ended up riding alien swimming saucers. My son, that was like one of his favorite things he rode, was alien swimming saucers. Yeah, it was great. And then later in the day, I went and ended up riding Rise. I was able to get actually boarding group twice when I was there.
Nice.
Yeah, it was easier than I thought it was, or maybe easier than I had hoped, or had anticipated. Maybe because I knew what to do, and doing the tricks like getting off Wi-Fi, and I ended up leaving my room because the Wi-Fi in our room was terrible, and then also our cell reception was very bad in our room, so I ended up.
Well, you got to stay at the Polynesian, right?
Correct. And I don't think it was the fault of Polynesian that my internet was bad. It was just kind of like in the middle of the building, reception was bad. So we ended up riding Rise that afternoon, and that was again one of the most immersive experiences I've ever experienced on a Disney attraction. Have you ridden Rise yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I got to go this past March and do that. So
yeah. Blew me away. And I was talking to my family that we were there with. We were there with my wife's family, and they're my family too. And most of them aren't really Star Wars fans. If any, there's my brother-in-laws have seen Star Wars and like Star Wars, but they're not like they're not like super fans by any means.
Okay.
And definitely my like sister-in-laws and things like that have like maybe like seen bits and pieces. And they were blown away.
Just so strange to me. That's just
I agree.
And I mean, I'm not trying to put down your family. It's just in my world, in my sphere of people. It's just it's such a cultural landmark. It's such a
for sure
fact of life.
Same here.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, yeah, my family's the same way. And so when I met my wife, she had not seen Star Wars, and I was like, okay, well, we need to change that. So like one of the first things we did, like when we first started dating, was I was like, okay, we're sitting down watching all the Star Wars movies. If you want to be with me, this is something you gotta accept. And
These are the rules. I don't write them.
this is how it goes. This is how it goes. I was gobsmacked that she had not seen the movies. And so we sat down. So we all went in the attraction. Well, my wife unfortunately couldn't make it because our kids were sleeping at the time. But yeah, that was kind of a theme throughout the whole trip. And we can get to that later. Traveling with kids to Disney was much different than like solo trips. And even our last long trip was when my son was like 5 months old. So having 3 kids under 3 was a big. I don't say it was a challenge. It was challenging, and it was a blessing because but it was also a blessing because like their experience was very neat and unique.
Okay.
But it was much different, so we had to make some tough choices on what we rode, things like that. But again, I'm very fortunate. Went to Disney World and we had a great time. But back to Rise. Yeah, I'm not a huge sequel fan. And so I thought that would be a detriment to my experience because I was like, I don't like affiliate with these characters and things like that. And actually, the thing is, I do like the characters for the most part. I would say I like the main characters. I really like Finn. I really like Poe. I love Kylo.
Yeah.
Rey could have been handled much better.
Yeah.
So like,
But I don't think
that's
that's on like Daisy Ridley or anything like that.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And so I would say I like the characters for the most part.
Yeah.
Majority of them actually I really do like, and so that helped. And so it also helped that like this story wasn't like it was in the sequels like time frame, but it wasn't like pulled from a movie. And
Yeah, it wasn't built in.
yeah, because my issue is more with the last couple of movies, because I do enjoy Force Awakens, and I was excited for the sequels. But
Now, have you heard?
My dreams were dashed.
Yeah. Have you heard? Well, I'm sure you have the talk of like them potentially switching up the eras in the parks, or like switching it over to. Or have we talked about that on here?
I think we have, and I'm definitely a proponent of it, and I think it'd be easy to do, especially especially now going through that land. It would be a lengthy refurb, but I think it would be something that wouldn't be too difficult to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely am for that. Even like a prequel or an OT era. Because I've read pretty much all the literature surrounding Galaxy's Edge, the comics and the books and things, and they work it in. They work Galaxy's Edge in through all eras. From multiple angles, which is
and I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, which I think is a safety net they built in.
Yeah.
Maybe not to the. Maybe some of the executives weren't aware of that, but at least Lucasfilm on their end did a lot of weaving it in through all eras of Star Wars, which is good. Which is good.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely. I love Rise. I think it's great. I think it's just a masterclass in pretty much everything it sets out to do. But to
Very
see
much.
it like if it was sort of reset to OT era, and instead of Kylo, you had Darth Vader. Instead of even if you had even if you swapped out what's his face, why am I blanking on his name?
Hux.
Yeah, Hux.
Hux or Tarkin or something. Yeah.
Well, even Moff Gideon from The Mandalorian.
Oh, sure.
Because that'd be fun. Like that'd be fun to have him and Vader in the same room. Oh my gosh! So,
well, and something I was thinking too is that they could potentially, depending on how Thrawn is received in live action. Thrawn
Yeah,
could be put in there too.
yeah.
Um,
Who would you cast as Thrawn? That's a fun question that I've kind of bobbed around in my head.
I struggle with that because um, I really don't know, I've seen some interesting like fan casting and edits of like Robert Downey Jr. But I think he's too comical to be
Yeah, no.
Thrawn. I've seen Pierce Brosnan, but I think he's getting too old at
That's
this point.
very interesting.
Yeah, I think he's getting too old to be Thrawn. Um, so I don't really know. I'm interested to see who they decide to bring out for that. Have you thought
My
about that at all?
Yeah, I've thought about it. I see a lot of people going for what's his face, Benedict Cumberbatch. I don't think that's.
Oh,
I don't. I
yeah,
don't. I mean,
I can sort
I
of see
could
that.
see it. I could see it, but I don't want that. I would actually love Jason Isaacs.
Okay. Yeah.
He is a little older. He is a little older, but I think he's still within the age range for it to work. And he is just. He's fantastic in so many things. Obviously, I think most people know him as Lucius Malfoy from the Harry Potter films, but he was also Hook in that live action Peter Pan movie, like back
Yeah.
in 2003, and he does a lot of voiceover work. He was
Okay.
perhaps one of my favorite iterations of Superman a couple of years ago. He played Superman in Red Sun, and that's a kind of an Elseworld story where instead of landing in Kansas, he crash lands in Soviet Russia, and he
Oh, okay.
becomes like sort of for a while he becomes sort of like a weapon of communist Russia, but then this whole other thing kind of spins out of it. But he plays it so well, um, and with such depth. And this is for a voice acting role. Like this was animated,
Oh, sure.
so and there's so much that comes through his performance. So I think to see him as a cold, calculating,
Yeah.
basically super genius military head, I could see
That'd be
that.
cool.
He
That'd
was
be
also
cool.
funny in, ironically, another kind of Russian thing, but Death of Stalin. He was a general in that, and he was really funny. So
Oh, okay.
he's like he can do a lot of different things. He can be serious. He can be funny. He's very versatile, and I think
Yeah.
he would deserve that chance. I know this is a way off from where we were, but yeah,
No, no, yeah. And something I think of too is maybe Mark Strong. I
Mark's.
think could be
You don't see him in enough. There are so many
yeah.
great British actors
Yeah.
that are beyond Tom Hiddleston and Benedict Cumberbatch, great as they may be,
True.
or
Yes.
the
Yeah.
the Marvel boys.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, that really need to. I mean, even Richard E. Grant. He was amazing
Sure.
as classic Loki, and you just don't
Yes.
see him enough. He like gets
Yeah.
sidelined in so many projects. Like I was
Uh-huh.
so upset because he's a great actor, and he was barely in when he came into Star Wars. He was like barely in it. I'm like, what? You wasted him.
Yeah.
But
He was
I
just there for a
mean,
minute.
you just don't expect that from modern Star Wars, wasting opportunities. Come
No,
on.
not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. But but back to Rise.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've all heard the reviews. It is it's something else. Again, that was also something I didn't watch POVs of it. I watched even less than I did the lightsaber experience.
You went in completely blind.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'd seen photos and things like that. So like I knew I was going to walk in to see the stormtroopers and things like that. So
Oh yeah.
I knew that was coming because that's like the main promotional image that they use. But it is without a doubt the definition of attraction. It is not just a ride. Because I know like we use like the there's like we use the term rides and attractions, but and experiences. It was the purest form of experience meets attraction meets ride. Like it was an attraction because it's not just you sitting in a vehicle and going on a ride. You are involved in the attraction itself. You are a character in that attraction. You are not only getting on a ride vehicle, but before that, you're like running through a courtyard, getting on a ship. There's so many different stages to that attraction. It's hard to say it's just purely a Star Wars ride. It is a Star Wars attraction, and it again is a masterclass in what it means to totally immerse your guests into feeling like they are a prisoner trying to escape, or a spy trying to escape this world, because like I said, it's a walkthrough attraction. It's a simulator attraction. It's a drop tower. It's all these things melded into one, and I was just blown away.
Yeah.
And it also proves that using real animatronics is essential for believability, but also like to immerse yourself in that.
Yeah.
Because like I said, most people I rode the ride with hadn't seen Star Wars or really cared about Star Wars, but were blown away as like, this is next level Disney ride creation, Disney attraction creation. Because like they went even more blind than I did, and were completely taken aback and couldn't believe like what had just happened, basically.
Yeah. There's just so many blends of like effective effects.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term, the even that bit where Kylo Ren like is coming like down the hallway towards you.
Yeah.
Before you get in that elevator, that's multi-layered effects, because it's Pepper's ghost for him, and then or not, or maybe it's Pepper Ghost for him, and then the saber that he's holding is actually practical, like behind the screen, so it has the light carries properly. So it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Just all the different ways.
Yeah.
How did you react to what happened in the elevator?
I love
surprised?
that. I love
that was like one of the coolest things.
Yeah, I was like, that was one of the most exhilarating parts of the ride for me. Was like, yes. I loved it.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was really, really, because the one thing I loved about it too was like, you like walk into Star Tours and you're like, you walk into a spaceport and there's a clear like distinction between like walking from Hollywood Studios into the attraction queue, and like there's not there's like a seamless transition, I would say.
Yeah.
And that's like the same thing with like Peter Pan or whatever. Like you're walking into the queue and you're like all of a sudden in London. Like there's no like it's not like a seamless like smooth transition where like you are in the resistance base, then you walk into the queue. Like you leave the queue, like you're in Star Wars and you continually walk into Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then like the end of the attraction is like, oh, you're back on Batuu, and then you walk out and you're still in Batuu. Like even the ride, getting on the ride, and entering the queue and exiting the queue is seamless to that experience. And the queue is interesting too, and I would like to talk about that once we get into like the kind of the ugly portion of the I love the queue, but like park logistics right now is kind of interesting. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
But I would love to talk about the merch that I picked up.
Yeah, go.
And what I saw. So obviously I got the lightsaber. I love the lightsaber, which I am going to cherish and will have for forever. I can't wait to get more lightsabers. My wife was like, I should have built one too, because I was playing around with it like afterwards. She's like, well, you don't want to play with it or whatever. I'm like, well, yeah, but it's something to still appreciate, and it's fun to swing around and things like that.
Yeah.
And then in the frame of the video, also, if you're not watching this video on YouTube, I suggest you do that, because there's a lot of visual things in this episode. you probably can't see in your video, but my son
Oh, I see.
built a droid.
This was the one we were looking for.
Yes, exactly. This was very fun to do. Funny enough, he actually fell asleep as we were walking into the Droid Depot, and so he had told me what color he wanted beforehand, so I could help him pick out the parts. And then as we're getting ready to walk in, he fell asleep. So I was like literally holding him like this and like trying to build the droid with my other hand. So originally he was going to build this, but I ended up building it for him because he fell asleep. And the thing about that is like we had a reservation, so like we couldn't like not build it, otherwise you get like charged anyway for the droid. If you don't show up, they still charge you for it. So you got to make sure you get to your reservations for these things. But this is super fun. My son is obsessed with it. I'm surprised he was asleep when I grabbed it this morning, but for recording. It is not why he's crying in the background, if you could hear him. He's just a little grumpy. Potty training right now. But it's a very, very cute droid. Some basic functionality is there. And then if you get one of the droids, I recommend getting the mobile app because it saves you from spending money on the personality chips, because you can buy personality chips you can like put in here depending on your affiliation. You can be like a smuggler or first order. The mobile app, you can get all those for free basically. Yeah, so don't spend the extra like $12 on the personality chip.
Didn't even know there was a mobile app for it. That's a little shady.
Yeah. So but the thing is the reason that you want it in the actual chip is that when you walk around the land, it'll interact differently in the land. But if you just want different sounds while you're like playing with it at home, the mobile app allows you to change the sounds.
Okay, so the chip is more so for Galaxy's Edge than Okay, cool.
Yeah, because you like walk around and he like bops and like will turn his head and like will like it actually reacts when you walk through the land, which I think is interesting.
That's pretty cool.
Which is fun, yeah. But it's a very cute piece. I would say if you are building a droid that's not red, black, or white, or blue, you have to buy these additional orange pieces outside the price of the droid. Because my son wanted an orange droid, and so we picked the orange head, but the rest of like the legs and everything, there's no orange legs or anything. So we chose the white body. And part of the building experience, you get to attach these like little arms here, as well as these like jetpack booster things on the side. Yeah, orange is not an option when you're building. It's only for at least for the R series. They have orange stuff for the B series because
naturally because BB.
So you have to buy another $12 pack to get all these like extra orange.
$12 isn't terrible, but
it's not bad. And the thing was, it actually worked out well for us because my son, like I said, fell asleep. So once he woke up later in the day, we like rebuilt it and added the additional orange pieces.
Cute.
And these doors and things like that aren't included. Well, you basically get like whatever color body you choose. So if we wanted to change these doors, if you want to change the doors for any of the droids, you had to buy it anyway. So it's fine. It was $12.
I mean, I would probably
in the grand scheme.
I would probably, and I'd be interested to see, but I personally would go for the R series. But I'd be interested to see which one sells more, the R or the B series.
I would be too, because I saw pretty even distribution when I was there. While building, and I would say if you're looking for like an immersive building experience, it's not like other than the shop being very well themed, the cast members that are helping you build aren't super like in character. I saw a couple, but like the one I was like kind of like going through the motions thing. Which could be a character in like hating your job and being bored. So like it's and I would say it's like that's a general personality trait or like a disposition that some workers have. So maybe that's just part of the theming.
Well, maybe they've had enough things where they're like they tried to do the whole in character thing and it took like way longer.
To
So they
train
just
them and
need to
stuff.
like
Yeah.
get to the
Yeah.
point. Like let's get to the point. Boom, boom, boom. On your way.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
And I would say that they all use the same terminology and things like that, so it's not like an issue there. Like they're still like in character in terms of terminology, but yeah. So the lightsaber and the droid were the big purchases that we had. Obviously, up here you could see I got all of my Coke products, which I thought were super.
They're fun, aren't they?
Super fun. Yeah.
Did you have any blue milk?
I did, and we got a blue milk and a green milk.
Okay.
And blue milk for me was, I preferred it.
Yeah.
It was very good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Because I heard people didn't like it, and I was like, I don't know what there's not to like.
Yeah.
About it. It's just kind of like it's a fruity drink. You drink in the summertime. It might be something you might not like be obsessed with and like drink it every time, but I think it's something that's not like
it deserves to
annoying.
be there, and like as a Star Wars thing, it's like
I think it's essential.
yeah. But I mean, especially at the price point it's at, I'm like that's not something I have to get every time, but I'm glad I at least did it once.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I do think and that's my only real gripe. I think everything in that land is especially overpriced, like even over regular Disney prices.
Sure.
But it was like $8 or $9 for that is a little absurd. I would pay, $6 or,
I think it was like $7 for.
Oh, was it?
Okay,
I thought it was $9. I felt like it was. All right.
No, it wasn't. No, I think it was maybe like $6.50. It was like $6.50 for it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and then you pay like an extra I think you pay like $18 for the souvenir like jug as well. That's an option.
Oh yeah.
But my issue with the sipper is that like you can't like go get like refill it for like a reduced cost. It's like a one-time use thing.
Yeah. So then it's. Yeah.
Which we purchased a popcorn bucket when we were at Animal Kingdom. We got the Simba popcorn bucket. Get a popcorn bucket, especially if you have kids. My son was obsessed with that popcorn bucket. He walked around and did everything with that popcorn bucket. It was like the go-to snack when they were tired and hungry. It's a super good deal because you pay like $16 for the bucket and then or $15 for the bucket, and then you get $2 refills. You get like these like massive. It's like more than the normal portion of popcorn.
Oh yeah, no, you definitely get. We snacked on quite a bit of popcorn. We got 2 popcorn buckets on our last trip.
Yeah.
And we turned one into a planter.
Nice.
It's actually right here. Well, like for the people watching, they'll see.
Which popcorn bucket is it?
Darn it, my camera just moves right beyond it. It's the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, nice.
We're in our movie room, so when I got home, my parents actually got it for us, and at first I was like, "What am I going to do with this?" But because it's just so big,
It's
I mean,
huge.
obviously
It's
I was
huge.
grateful, but the thing is huge. So we got it home because luckily we're in a closer proximity to the park, so we drive. It's not something I had to like stuff into a bag to get on a flight or something. But I got it home and I'm like, and we were redoing our movie room at the time, and we wanted to have like some movie vehicles and like kind of
Sure.
Things from all different stuff, and then I had it and I'm like, you know what? And then I put it up on its side and I drilled a hole into, I guess, like one of the port sides of it, and we just kind of stuck a plant thing coming out of it. It's just fun. It's just
cool.
fun.
That's cool. That's fun.
But
it's fun.
yeah.
Yeah. Because they had that bucket there when I was there, and I was like, I would think that's super fun if we went to studios first. Which we actually did go to studios before, but Animal Kingdom. But I thought it was like it would be hard to hold, and we wanted to get it for the kids, and we knew the
It
Simba
lights up
bucket.
though.
Yeah, I know, and like I felt bad. Like I've already gotten like so many Star Wars things. I was like,
Yeah, that's fair.
And the thing with the Simba popcorn bucket, if you have kids, is like it's the perfect size to hold, and then like the arms are like perfect, to, like tuck under their arms. It was
Hmm.
ideal. It was both
Yeah,
both my
no,
kids.
I definitely. Yeah, we did that. We got the Steamboat Mickey one. I don't know if they're still
I
selling that.
It wasn't, and we were wanting to get a popcorn bucket the first day, and I was like,
Yeah,
if there was a cool Mickey one, like the
yeah.
Steamboat Willie or the balloon, I was
Or
like, we're
Steamboat
getting
Willie. Yeah,
that.
why did I say Steamboat
Yeah,
Mickey?
they're fine.
All right, that's it,
Um,
guys. I'm fired. It was a fun run. I really like being here, but
no, but if they had one of those, I think we'd pick that up instead. But we knew
hmm.
the Simba one was coming, and my kids have really been into Lion King as of late. Um, so my son actually ended up like singing "Circle of Life" walking around with his bucket, which was cute, which is very
It's
cute, which is
adorable.
very cute. Yeah. But other merch, I'll give you a quick other merch tour. I
Yeah.
had to pick up. I had to pick up. I got a few more things. Picked up the solo dice,
Oh.
which surprise, I got a set coming to you, my friend. Yes, yes.
It's a good
They're
day.
they're beautiful. They're beautiful. And so I actually picked up a few copies of Sabak as well, which I didn't realize they were
Oh,
Sabak
that's
dice.
cool.
I didn't realize they were Sabak
Oh,
dice.
I have no
Um,
idea. I just thought they were neat.
yeah, no, yeah, they're actually super heavy and like very affordable. I picked up a few of them. They're super cool.
Yeah.
Um, Essential if you're especially an OT fan or just a Han Solo fan. They're just very. I put them in my rear view mirror in my car.
Very
But yeah,
cool.
picked up Sabak. This was a must.
I have no idea how to play.
It's basically like poker meets like blackjack in a way.
Okay.
Which again, you'll need to learn how to play because I got you a set as well.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
of course,
You're
I
too
had
good to me.
I literally picked up 4 decks because I had like people I want to give these to. Because I think it's just again like an essential Star Wars thing. And then I got some chance.
Yay. You've
I got some.
you've joined me in my collecting.
Yes, I got some chance cubes because as a pod racing fan, these are essential to that scene.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So I thought it was cool that they paid homage to that scene. And then
Absolutely.
my saber came with a crystal, so I chose green.
Hmm.
But also I was like, I need to get a few more in case I want to like play around with other colors.
Yeah.
So I got the blue crystal, which these crystals are very cool. They're
Oh
fun to
yeah.
just like hold in your hand and kind of fidget with.
Yeah.
Um, but they're really neat. And then I got the red one, and then the red one I got was actually the like the Magic 8 Ball, Darth Vader.
Oh, okay. Wait. So
So
is it a black one?
no, it's a red
Okay.
one, but when the land first opened, these were all like very blind.
Hmm.
The reds are still blind. There's like a black piece of paper in here, so you
Yeah.
can't like see what the color inside. So people are looking for the black one.
Hmm.
But the reds were all just like marked as red, and then you had to like hope to get the 8 ball version, which basically if you have a holocron, it does like a 8 ball like
That's pretty
fortune
cool.
telling kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, the red one is Vader, and then the green one is Yoda.
Cool.
Um, and so, but now they've packaged the 8 ball one separately, so you can actually pick one out instead of hoping you get
Oh,
one.
that's neat.
You can for sure get 8 ball.
Yeah.
And then what else did I get? Oh yeah, and then last little bit of merch, the spork.
Ah, there it is.
Yes, went to
The
Docking Bay
almighty
7.
spork.
Yes, went to Docking Bay 7 and got 2 sporks. My son and I went for
Very
dinner
cute.
for dinner on our last day, and so we both got the sporks. So I thought those were fun. But yeah, I other than my like merch we got from my kids, this was like all my like Star Wars haul, my Star Wars haul.
That's great.
But
That is great.
before we get to the rest of the video, since we're doing merch, do you want to do the giveaway reveal?
Oh, I think that's a good call. I
Cool,
think that's a
cool.
great call.
Well, I'm
So-
gonna show everything that I got on the trip, or at least a couple things I got on the trip for the giveaway. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah, of course. And I
you wanna do that?
I'll pull out the stuff that we do have just
Cool.
to sort of review.
Yeah.
Um,
So last time we revealed, we have the Alexander Nitrikoff Funko Pop for. This was in a Magic Kingdom land themed giveaway. So this is our Liberty Square item. Of course, Main Street, you have to get some candy. So we got some sour gummies directly from Disney parks, sour gummy worms from the Disney parks. And then for our Fantasyland item, I picked up a Small World pin. I don't know if you guys can see that.
oh, wonderful.
Yeah, it's a very nice purpley with a clock in the middle. We'll be posting photos of these on our Instagram, I'm sure. But yeah, got this. And then top it off, we got a $10 Disney gift card too.
Oh, there we go.
So if you want to go
If
online.
only I could use that in my local Disney store.
Yes, unfortunately.
Ay, ay,
those
ay.
are all
No, but
gone.
these-
All gone.
Yeah. That's a shame. Yeah. Well, that's great. Oh, I should probably jump over to the stuff that we have on my end. We have a couple things here. We have some stickers for Adventureland from the Adventurers Project for Schweitzer Falls, and It's a Jungle Out There with the newly revamped rhino scene. I forgot that they just revamped that. And then from the let me see here. Now from the Theme Park Preservation Society, of course, we have this beautiful piece for Big Thunder Mountain for Frontierland.
Love that.
This is like a reproduction of like what a stock to the Big Thunder Mining Company would be, or like a share of the Big Thunder Mining Company. And this actually was a piece for Harrison Hightower III. So it's good to know that C members were investing so much in each other. That was sort of the idea by that. And then we do have a couple other pieces. We have a small piece here for Tomorrowland of Sunny Eclipse. So you got a little art piece there. And
Looks good.
also just another fun little sticker. We actually might throw a little extra in, but a fun little balloon sticker in there
Nice.
as well. And we'll get all that together, and we're going to be sending that out to one of the people who entered into our drawing here, which we're going to be revealing in just a moment. But if you are interested in winning something, as many people are, we are intending to do one of these giveaways every so often. Probably every 10th episode we want to do a giveaway. Since this is our first time doing it, it is admittedly larger than, what's hopefully going to be the norm. We don't have the budget for that. However, if you do want to help us have the budget for that so that we can give away cool prizes, we are on Patreon, and we have a bunch of different plans. Go check that out. But anyway, so our next one will be on our 20th episode, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're planning on doing it every 10 episodes. But with that being said, we do have the drawing here. I'm going to press the spin. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. And it's spinning around, spinning around, spinning around. Ooh, wow, it's going fast, making me dizzy. And who do we have? All right, it looks like our winner is Alexandra Ashford. So we will be reaching out to them to get their contact information. We did, I know there was a little bit of confusion when we were doing this, because again, we're still very new at this. However, I know we had asked that people leave a review on iTunes for us, and not everybody was able to do that because of technical reasons. So, if you did do that, you were entered twice in. That's how we kind of reset that. We put an extra entry for you in there. But yeah, so again, our winner here is Alexandra Ashford. So we will be reaching out to you. And congratulations, and we look forward to sending
Thank you, Alexandra.
all that good stuff your
Yes,
way. And thank you
yes.
everybody who took
Yes, thank you,
time
everyone.
to enter in.
Yes.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
but back into the rest of your trip, because I mean
Yeah.
we're like an hour in now almost,
I know,
and
yeah.
we've only
Yeah.
talked about Galaxy's Edge.
I know. Yeah. But yeah, but I guess I'm gonna do like quick. Yeah, I was trying to think of keep time in mind, but I definitely want to kind of go over a few things too that I want to talk about. Uh, Real quick, the Polynesian. So yes, as we talked about
Yes.
earlier, I stayed at the Polynesian. Loved it. It's such a beautiful resort. It's and I and once you stay there, you realize it definitely is like a village resort because it's much different than any other park or any other hotel I've stayed at where like there's so many different buildings on property or in that hotel.
Yeah.
Our home resort is Wilderness Lodge, and that's kind of all contained in one building. So you kind of had to get used to like having to walk outside at night, and even it was like raining out to like go get food and things like that, which is a bit of an inconvenience. Because we ended up staying in the building Morea, which is one of the DVC buildings, which that was super convenient because we were literally like a 2-minute walk from the TTC, which was very convenient for transportation, because the monorail was down still when we were there, so it wasn't like we could hop on the monorail there. So that's why we chose that building, was because we knew we wanted to be close to the TTC. And so that was, but it also added to the atmosphere of kind of walking through like that tropical landscape, and the landscape was very beautiful while we were there, and the pools were amazing. The food was pretty good. Had some hits, but also had some really had some hits, but also a few misses and some food we ate there. But it was great to have pineapple lanai there. We ate a lot of Dole Whip, which was fun. My only big complaint was the construction going on, and we knew that going in. Not necessarily before we planned it. We didn't really know about the construction, or we weren't sure to what extent the construction was happening when we booked the stay. We thought it might be almost done when we were there, but that was the biggest obstacle in terms of getting around the resort, because it's right there, right outside Pineapple Lanai and by the main pool, and right next to the Great Ceremonial House. And so you had to kind of make some decisions about how to get places pretty early on in your walk, because you couldn't like loop around buildings or anything. You had to kind of know exactly where you're going before you went there. So that was kind of an obstacle. But had Tonga toast, which was delicious. Actually, one of my favorite things I had at the Polynesian itself was were the wings from Kona Cafe. Those were delicious. We went to we ended up going to Ohana once. We went there for breakfast because we were able to get a lunch or dinner reservation because it was just booked up because we were there. It was like that's like we were there the Friday that it opened. So the reservations were super limited. We couldn't get in. But the breakfast there was disappointing. I think that was one of those disappointing meals we had was at Ohana, was the breakfast. Because it was like basically all you ate was bread. You see the pineapple bread, waffles, and then there was also biscuits on the skillet, and then the skillet was fine. Actually, one of our favorite breakfasts was we actually went to Tusker House for a character breakfast, and that was amazing. I think that was our favorite breakfast was Tusker House. But again, Ohana was the Polynesian was beautiful. very beautiful hotel. Again, I think the one thing that made it for us was the pools, because our kids were obsessed with the pools when we were there. So that was great for us as parents to have a great place to wind down at the end of the day or post nap. We would go there. So that was probably our favorite part, was the general feel of the resort, but also some of those amenities were really nice. But the only, like I said, the only downside was the construction.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you were you able to go there because of DVC, or was that unrelated?
Yeah, so we used our DVC points, but also they were only open to DVC guests at that time when we were there.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and so they're working on the general guest rooms when we were there. That's the main construction, and also where the Moana updates are happening. I will say that though, I hope that they eventually will update the DVC rooms, because some of them were pretty.
Dated?
They weren't like very dated, but also like even like the elevators were like somewhat sketchy, to say the least. Which was, again, it's one of the original resorts, and it's coming up on 50 years old. So
You're gonna get in one of them and just start to hear the
yeah, and so our home resort is the Wilderness Lodge. And
Glorious.
I would say I yes, I love the Wilderness Lodge, and I would say I prefer the rooms at Wilderness Lodge.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily prefer Wilderness Lodge Resort, but I prefer the rooms.
Are you telling me that you prefer the resort designed by Joe? That's shocking. Didn't he have a hand in that resort? Writing's on the wall.
I think he had a little bit of a hand in that. No, but the rooms there are beautiful, and they have more recently been updated too.
Okay,
which is part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, if you have the chance to go to Polynesian, you have the chance to stay there, I would recommend it. Especially if you have the chance to go to stay in one of the new rooms. I think that would be even better. Because then you're also closer to the Great Ceremonial House, which I think is essential. We were pretty far. But again, if once the monorail is opened up, that makes more sense to stay closer to the Great Ceremonial House. But again, loved it. So happy that we were so grateful that we got to stay there and experience that resort, because it was really beautiful.
Yeah.
A couple more things note-wise I'll talk about too. One thing, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this before, is the difference between weekend cast members and like weekday cast members.
I've never noticed that.
So our experience, it might have been just like the parks we went to those days, but we found that, and it was kind of a general feel through the whole trip, is like cast members weren't really going above and beyond, or like they weren't like part of the show. It feels like they're employees and not so much cast members anymore. And that just might be just general working on getting people back from COVID and things like that. Because we went in October, and we only went to Magic Kingdom, and we had a good time there. But every other cast member we interacted with outside the parks, especially on the weekends, it was weird. On the weekends, they were like almost rude, and it seemed like they wanted to be there. Whereas like weekday cast members, we had like really great experiences. They went above and beyond and provided some magic, and I'll get into that in a minute. But that was an interesting phenomenon that we experienced, was the difference between the two times a week.
I completely agree with you. I think and again, you and I went at very different times, even though it's a few months apart.
Yeah.
Just within regards to COVID, because at the Polynesian, we went one morning, and because they sell, because my wife loves Tonga toast, so we went one morning, and they sell it at Captain Cook's, I think it is. Yeah. They sell it there, and we missed it by 4 minutes, exactly 4 minutes.
Oh, no.
They switched over to the lunch menu, and so I go over there. I'm like, guys, come on, it's 4 minutes. I know you still have some. Can like please? And they said, well, no, if you go up to Kona Cafe, I think they still have it. I think they'll, they're able to still have it. So I go up there, and same situation. Well, no, of course we don't. We switched over to our lunch menu. We don't have that anymore. I'm like, okay, or something like that. And somehow I ended up at the front desk, asking like, not to be a Karen or a Carl or whatever the male version is, not to be anything. I was like, is there, or do you have like any openings there for breakfast still or anything like that? And the one guy that I'm talking to is just sort of like, nope, you're SOL, oh well, sucks to suck. And the other guy, I noticed his ears were perking up. And it definitely looked like he had much more experience on the front desk. And he came over and he's like, what's going on? And I explained, hey, listen, we came to grab some Tonga toast and we missed it by 4 minutes. And so he's like, let me make a quick call. And so I take a seat, right by the statue at the front, and I'm just sitting waiting. And he's like, okay, give her like 15 minutes and they'll have some Tonga toast for you. Oh,
nice.
Oh, okay. Then I go up there, and then they just hand it to me, and they're like, "Okay, have a magical day." I'm like, "Wait, what do I owe you?" And they're like, "Have a magical day." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, great." And I wasn't trying to put anybody out. I'm not trying to put anybody out. I'm not trying to give anybody a hard time, make anybody's day more difficult, because they definitely have it worse than me down there. But. Yeah, and it was just very clear that, and I have a feeling that a lot of people during COVID were put into roles that they are not suited for, or were originally, and they were just put wherever was necessary. And so I think the first guy was, he had a different job, because that was not his area of expertise, I don't think, because I just wasn't, like, he was putting out a lot of negative vibes, and I was just like, doesn't feel right. But the other guy, he knew it, he was on his stuff, made the phone call, took charge, and that was great. So, so I definitely think there's a difference between, some cast members right now who are kind of putting roles they're not supposed to be in.
For sure. Yeah, and it was weird, like I said, because we had it was a very like clear like weekend cast members that we could hardly get any kind of like help, smiles, extra little touches. But weekday cast members were much more helpful. I'm not sure it was the time we were there that like the cast members we actually interacted with. There was like no like have a magical day, like my daughter wore like a lot of like princess dresses. There was no like even like the thing you kind of like expect, like, oh, have a nice day, princess, things like that. Like very very few cast members said that to them, and like I don't need that, but like it's nice. It's nice when
you come to expect it.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And like more experienced park guests, like, well, we know that, but maybe some of these newer, like, a lot of people are like, so the first time trips have been happening during this period because time off, extra cash coming in, things like that, they've been able to go, aren't seeing those things.
And that's the shame of it, especially with how prices are rising. Some of these people, this is going to be their only time. Yeah. And that's just the fact of it. And as it is right now, I mean, it's difficult for us, and we like to would like to be able to go more, but we just things can't. So like they got to remember, it's like it's just treat everybody like it's the first time every time.
It's straight up. And I was listening to some conversations while we were on the buses, and some people very upset about things they experienced and didn't experience. And you realize how important characters are to, especially families with kids, things like that, where I heard a family, they went to Princess Royal Table in the castle, very expensive meal, saw Cinderella from a balcony, and that was it. There was no additional princesses or anything like that. And the mom said she was like crying when she was leaving. She was so disappointed in the experience and had to explain to her daughter like why she couldn't go meet a princess and like why only one princess was there. And a lot of those experiences where like Disney knows that they have like DVC members by the balls because they're like, you're with us for 50 years no matter what, so we don't do anything special for you. But then also like guests that come, this is a first trip, I don't see them coming back based off of these experiences. And I've heard people make that argument over the past year or two, year and a half, and I was like, sure, but like I'm sure there's like special things that they're experiencing. And then actually being there, I realized, yes, if you aren't like a diehard fan and this is your first trip, you probably won't come back for a while.
Yeah. No.
For a while.
Absolutely.
They're burning bridges. And based off the money you spend, there's no extra like the reason we go to Disney and spend extra money because like we know we're getting these magical experiences and these special experiences. Where like if I'm only seeing Mickey from like a car driving by, like that's yes, I see Mickey and things like that, but like I'm not like having that special interaction with him.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that like my kids and we go once a year, so like it's like we're hoping the next time we go it's like a different experience. But like my daughter, who doesn't really understand, was like asking for like Minnie Mouse and Mickey Mouse, and she like saw them from like a distance cavalcade. And at this point in time, my one curiosity, especially for like those like masked characters, is like, why is it not safe for us to meet those characters? Because they're wearing like probably more protection than most even cast members are wearing now. Because like most cast members aren't even wearing masks anymore.
Yeah.
And so I'm like wondering, where's the disconnect?
I think it has to do with like touching more so than the mask and anything like that. I think it's like you have a bunch of people touching them at a given time. That might be it. But you know, you have children, you know, basically burying their faces in them when they're hugging them or something, and then the next kid's up buries their face, you know. So I think it's probably that. And I get the apprehension, but you know, and you have a great point, because that's a perspective that I don't have, because I don't really care too much about the characters. I thought it was cool when they were up on the balcony just kind of waving down, and I thought that was kind of neat. It was different. And you know, I don't care for that, but you know, that you have, you know, your kids are asking for these things and looking for these things. That's a, you know, perspective that you know, I don't have access to at the time. And yeah, no, it's very I'm sure that's very disappointing, and it hurts.
No, and fortunately, and this is another discussion about like kind of like the haves and have-nots in the Disney World sphere at this point, because like when we did check in, Pluto and Goofy were like right outside they were in the grass with like a hedge in front of them, greeting us as we walked in, which was really special. And then when we were leaving, Goofy and Donald were there as well. So we'd have some pretty close. I will say we'd have some close character interactions. Obviously, couldn't like my daughter again wanted to like go give Donald a hug, and she couldn't. But she was still to like see him like very close, like within like 3 feet, close, and like Goofy blew kisses and things like that. So we did have that interaction. But like they wanted to see more. They wanted to meet Mickey and things like that. And we did go to Tusker House, which was nice, because they were pretty close again. But they were like kind of came in, did a little dance, and like left. I will commend Goofy, because like every Goofy character we met or saw was like top notch. Like went above and beyond, stayed around a little bit longer than some of the characters did. Which I thought was nice, because my kids do like Goofy as well. But yeah, I think the general feel is that a lot of these cast members are inexperienced, because I think training has definitely become shortened, and the people maybe they're hiring aren't to the same caliber as they used to hire, because again, we had some great cast members, but we had some kind of less than ideal interactions. And to kind of wrap up or get towards the end of this discussion, because I know we're coming up here almost an hour 20, is one of my favorite like kind of magical experiences was our last day. So our last day we had plans to go to Oga's, things like that.
Oh yeah.
But my kids were very tired. They ended up taking a 4 hour nap that day, so we ended up missing that reservation. But it was my son's birthday. It was our last day, and we knew we wanted to do something special for him. And it was probably around 5 o'clock is when he got up, or so, maybe like 4:30, and we had gone to the parks at all that day. Our plan was to go to the pool and then go to the studios in the afternoon. But being in the parks for like 4 days in a row was a lot for them. So we took a pool day and then they napped for a long time. And so my wife and I were talking as they were sleeping, like, hey, I want to go take Matthew, which is my son, who was 3 that day. And I was like, I want to take him to the studios and go ride Slinky Dog and go take him to dinner and things like that. Because it was his birthday, I want to do something special for him. Because he had been wanting to ride Slinky Dog really bad. And then our first Hollywood Studios day, we ended up leaving midday to go nap, and we ended up not making it back. We made it back, but the line was like 120 minutes or something like that. And so he like just became tall enough to ride. And we sort of knew that before we came. And we're like, I want to make sure we can get him on. And he was like, he would not wake up from his nap. He was just sleeping for like they all were. And like I said, it was 5 o'clock or so, and the park closed at 8 that day. Yeah. And he got up and I said, Matthew, you go ride Slinky Dog? He said, yeah, I want to go ride Slinky Dog. And so I said, okay, we got to go now. If we're to go, we got to go now. And so we got to the bus stop. The bus didn't get there until 5:30, and so we got into the park around like 5:45. And we're walking in, and he was like, "Oh, I want to go ride Mickey Train again. I'm gonna go ride Mickey Train, which is Mickey Maze Runaway Railway, which we had ridden earlier in the week." And I said, "Okay, but like, if you want to ride that, like, we'll do it, because like it's your birthday. We'll do whatever you want." And so it was around a 50-minute wait at that point. And so we rode it. He loved that ride. I'm glad I rode it once. It's not like something I need to ride every time, but if my kids want to ride it, I'll ride it. Kind of ride. It's cute. Definitely something to be desired, but it's fine. I'm glad that Mickey Mouse has a ride. And we can just talk about that another day. It's not for this discussion. And so we got off of the ride. It was around 6:45, or 6:45, because it was like a 50-minute wait. And I was like, I think that was the timing. We got there at 5:45. 6:45. We got off. I was like, knew we had like an hour and a half left. And I was like, I don't know how we're going to do this, because Slinky Dog again at that point had a 90-minute wait. And I was like, this is going to be tight, because we had plans to get food at Docking Bay 7 at like 7:45, because I knew we wanted to end the day there. And I was like, I don't know how we're going to do this. And so I was like, I'm going to go to the front and like measure him again to make sure, because I don't want to get through this line and then all of a sudden not be able to ride. And so I walked to the front of the line, had the cast member check him, and he's like, oh, like he's just made it, he's good. And I said, oh yeah, like he's been really looking forward to ride this. It's his birthday and stuff today, just kind of making small talk with the cast member. And then she looks at me, she's like, oh, okay. She's like, has he been here before? And I was like, well, yeah, he's been to Disney World a couple times at this point. She's like, did you ever get one of those, I forget what it's called, what she called it, like a height certificate? And I was like, and she kind of like gave me a wink. And I knew about the height certificate before. And I was like, oh yeah, I think he did have one. She's like, okay, well, come with me. And she took us up to the Fast Pass kiosk and gave me a Fast Pass. And she's like, just go to the front of the line. And I was like, what? I was like, that's awesome. And so we got in the Fast Pass line. It was very short. So it was, she basically turned like a 90-minute wait to a 5-minute wait for us.
There we go.
Which was great. I wasn't like hunting for a fast pass. I wasn't like I in my head I was like I thought about like coming to him like, hey, like this is his birthday. Like, can we get like in the fast pass? Like, I want like this is not gonna work. This is his birthday. Like, and so like I thought like I was considering that, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm not gonna be that dad that like tries to like coerce a cast member to give me a fast pass. But it was like in like general conversation, we're measuring him, and
Yeah.
it just happened. It just happened. And so for those of you who don't know about the height certificates, basically if you go to Disney World and your kid isn't tall enough to ride a ride, you can go up to that fast pass cast member, like the cast member that's in charge of measuring them, and if they aren't tall enough, they'll give you a certificate that's like your next time you come and they're tall enough, it's a free fast pass.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, we didn't have that, but like she kind of like led me through the conversation so she could like, oh yeah, well just come with me now, because like we had been there before, and so it was great. I was so grateful that she did that. He loved the ride. And then they gave us time to ride Alien Swirling Saucers again before our dinner, and which was like one of his favorite rides, which was funny. He loved the music. He loved the aliens. He loved going fast and spinning and things. He also loved teacups, so he likes to spin. But like if that didn't happen, we wouldn't be able to make like I was like thinking, do I cancel my dining reservation to stay in this line? That was going to be the last thing we do that day, the last thing we do on the trip. And fortunately enough, that cast member pulled some strings for us and gave us some little extra Disney magic, and we got to do more than just that ride. We got to ride the ride, and go ride another ride, and get dinner. And so like it's like those things that you hope for and add to that experience and help. It's part of the reason why we go back is those little experiences. And I'm not sure how many of those little interactions were happening, have been happening, and I was very thankful to have received a little Disney magic on that trip, because it made his day. He thought he came off the ride. He's like, "That was the best, Dad." I said, "Yeah, it's a fun ride. It's a fun ride," and really having kids also changed my perspective on some of my criticism of rides too. Realizing that some of those rides are really important. That there's some really great kids rides. But yeah, those are kind of my final thoughts. Oh, well, one thought real quick. Pandora's smaller than I thought it was. That's kind of my last thought. It's much smaller of a land than I expected.
Was this your first time in Pandora?
It was.
Wow.
Because I went a couple years ago as our big family trip, but my wife's family's not really a big Animal Kingdom fan, so that was park we skipped the first time we went as a big family, and then the past couple times I've just gone to Magic Kingdom as like those old day trips I've taken down to Disney. So that was my first time in Pandora. I didn't get to ride the Flight of Passage. It just didn't work out with waiting in line and things like that. Also it was like 100 and something minute wait. So and also the single rider line wasn't open that day as well, so that didn't help things either. But
that's weird.
Yeah. But yeah, it was much smaller. It was much smaller than I expected. It was just really cool in there, but it was much smaller than I expected.
Yeah,
kind of seeing
like a sauna.
Seeing Galaxy's Edge first and then going to Pandora, I was like, oh, Pandora's kind of small.
Definitely.
But yeah, that was kind of a rundown of my trip. Again, very happy I got to go to Disney World, but it wasn't the same thing that we had. It wasn't the same Disney World, I would say. Kind of summarize the whole trip. But Galaxy's Edge, if you're a Star Wars fan, it's a must. And then I've also learned how to prepare more for traveling to Disney World with kids, because that was a big kind of shell shock. Because there's a lot more planning and needing to go back to the room midday for naps and things like that is kind of a thing you need to bake into your day if you want happy kids. And and especially if you're going, we went 5 days in a row, 4 full days, but like 5 or 6 days of kind of also having park tickets, so we can go there for short trips too. So, but yeah, any final thoughts from you? Any final questions about the trip that might pique the interest of the listeners?
Do you think you're going to be trying to go again sometime during the 50th celebration?
Yeah, I think we'll sneak in another big family trip towards the end of the celebration. I know that my wife and I were kind of talking about today or yesterday that I would love to go down to like just go down for a day, like because we've been kind of doing beach trips like every other year. Maybe taking one more soon than not, and just like trying to go again. But yeah, I think we plan to go on for like a longer trip towards the end of the 50th, in like the last like month or two of the 50th. And I think that's probably where we want to be too, because then all those other rides will be open by that time. Yeah, they've been working on, hopefully, and things we polished up before we come next. But yeah, I think we might go for like a day trip or a couple day trip, maybe the next year or so, maybe 6 months. We'll try to go again for try to like combine like a beach trip with a couple days in Disney towards the end of it. Okay. And then as we're talking about before we start the show, maybe you and I will organize a 24-hour challenge. We go down for a day. I think that'd be fun.
Maybe. It'll be tricky, but it'd be cool. It'd be cool.
It'd be some fun logistics.
Yeah. Maybe that'll be like an entire episode. We'll just record as we go.
Yeah, just be a big like vlog episode.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Yeah, because I have also learned from this trip is I'm never going to Disney in the summertime. I'm done. That was It worked out because of planning for this trip. Like it just kind of happened that way because we kind of had a small window with DVC points, but never planning that again. Fall is one of my favorite times to go. Spring is also great. Winter is even nice, but winter is a busy season. But yeah, I was talking to my wife yesterday again. And I was like, I would love to go down just like for a day, just like take the kids to like see the parks. Yeah, Christmas. Or even fall. Like the fall stuff is also great.
Oh yeah, it's the best.
But also the weather's so much better because it was just very hot and humid and taxing.
Yes, that's a very good word.
As they would say. The oppressive heat and humidity. But yeah, definitely learned that summertime is not my time to go to Disney World, and I'm okay with that. People that are there can do it. But it wouldn't be bad if it was like one day. If like we were like in Florida, like I got the beach in July, and then went for a day. But like 6 days in the parks was with that heat was a lot. So
yeah. Yeah. Do you think it's time to get moving along?
I think it is. I think it is time. I think we have a fast pass coming up.
Well, folks out there, we sure have enjoyed this time with you. If you want more Hubgrass in your life, you can find us separately at Unofficial Disney CEO on TikTok for me, and then at Matt Arterbery and Matt and Mary Kate on YouTube for Matt. Or, of course, if you're just looking for us together on our Instagram, you can find us at On the Hubgrass Pod, where we do try and post new content pretty regularly. If you like what we do and you want to give us a hand and help us make our show better, please consider joining our Patreon. But until next time, there's a great, big, beautiful podcast, and it's just a stream away. We will see you on the Hubgrass, and congratulations again to Alexander Ashford. We'll be reaching on out for you.
Great day, folks.